Okay, let's take a look at my mastering chain, which again, as is kind of the point of this whole series. Keep it simple, but just make it work really good. First of all, I kind of mix in a way that you wouldn't really need mastering. Like, always do every step with the idea that the next step might not happen. So record as good as possible. So you need to mix and edit as little as possible. And then mix as good as possible. So you need to do as little in the mastering stage as possible. Now, that being said, let's get in here. Let's listen in again. Now, first of all, in my song projects, here on my master bus, I only have tape saturation. This is part of the sound of the mix. This is not a mastering process. Okay, that's just what I want the mix to sound like is through this tape saturation. This one thickens up guitar sounds and drum sounds, and it's just great. Then afterwards I put Gulf Fuzz, which is really not doing all that much. This thing is doing like, I don't know, 5% of what you're hearing. To me, it's more like a bit of a failsafe. And also with this, I can quickly brighten or darken the entire mix according to a reference track I might listen to, and it's a neat little plugin. And that's really it already for my mastering chain inside the song projects. You can see I also turned down the volume on the song projects a little bit because with these heavy hits, it would clip a little bit, and that fixes that. Then I have my mastering project here. So I export the mixes and just import them into a new project. And then I can lay out the songs and also the here work on the turnarounds from one song to the next. These three down here are the instrumentals. Up here are the actual tracks that you know. And now listen here. This is the master track. Back again the raw mix. Go back. You notice there's really sound-wise, there's no difference, or barely any difference. Just as side info, I turned this one down by 10 dB because otherwise your ears would be exploding right now. But let me walk you through this. So first of all, these three tracks, I balanced the overall volume a little bit. The first one appeared to be a bit louder, the second one a little bit quieter, so just raising these a little bit already fixes that. Usually I would go to like the loudest part of a song, and with these three songs it would usually be the last chorus. That's like really big and epic. So I wanted those big parts, or rather, I used those as a reference to make sure all the songs are kind of on the same loudness level. And then let's go into the process here. So first of all, a tiny bit of mid-side EQ. This looks like more than it actually is. I raised the mid channel by just 1 dB at 2.5K. And then the side channel, I reduced 1 dB at 2.5K. That's after I sent the mixes to a producer buddy of mine, and he gave it a listen and pointed out that maybe the mid channel could come out a little bit because the whole song is just so wide, such a wall of sound, so the mid channel could use a little bit of definition. And then I did this so the vocals and the snare drum and the kick drum would poke out just a little bit more in the center, whereas the guitars are kind of ducked down a tiny bit on the sides, and that already helped that a lot. Then Ozone 9 is like my preferred choice for mastering. First of all, multiband dynamics, and all this is doing is just keeping the low end under control whenever there's like a loud bass hit or sub drop. The other band is not doing anything. And then one maximizer, this is really just to catch the peaks of these loud hits. I mean, you can see in the waveform here how high these hits can go. So this is just catching those. And not even by that much. Actually, maybe I could have gone a little bit more aggressive on that. And then this last ozone iteration is the actual maximizer that makes it all go loud. I like to keep that separate so I can, turn this one on and off and have an A/B test without having the volume jump up and down because of the maximizer. And here I use the IRC4 on the modern setting, and this is very transparent. But I also didn't slam that one too hard. You notice it's not constantly working, and it's mostly doing stuff again at these heavy hits. And also, I wanted to check that again, these loud later parts in the songs have the same kind of LUFS level, about -7 LUFS is what I'm shooting for. And that's really already it. And there's a bit of dithering going on. Not really that you need it, quite honestly, because that digital bit depth distortion is so incredibly quiet at 16-bit. You wouldn't notice it. This is really kind of just a failsafe. That's it. Nothing else to it. No fancy stereo width or subtle reverb or whatever have you. All of that I do in the mix, because when you do stuff like that in mastering, you may end up changing the balance of different elements of the mix again. So I just want to have the mix as good as possible so I can keep the mastering chain super simple and not accidentally mess stuff up again. That's it for this one. I shall see you in the next one.